In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.
It is Dallas week, and welcome everyone to the Washington Football Team Preview Show, brought to you by District Divided. I am Amit. That is Kdot. We are riding a 4-game win streak. Kdot, how are you doing, and how are you feeling about this win streak so far before we get into the Dallas stuff?
Feeling good. I mean, you're riding high, 4 games in a row, games that we need. We got the playoff push. We're right there in the wild card. A lot of these games, I think people kind of counted us out. The fact that we're able to run these together after having that 4-game losing streak, get the buy-in and do this, we're just feeling good. And I think more than anything, it's the way that we've been winning the games has been a feather in the hat as far as running the ball down people's throats, which is something I've said probably 1,000 times this week, especially after the Bill Belichick thing, which I still can't stop talking about. But it's the combination, just the way that we've been doing it, seeing Taylor Heinicke play at such a high level, even with the injuries on defense, still doing everything that we have been doing. It feels good, and it's the closest I've felt in a little bit to actually feeling like it's a real Dallas week. Even the social media stuff that I do for all the bars that I work with, we're doing Dallas shit this week, and that feels good, and it feels like kind of a throwback. There's an excitement that exists in the atmosphere that I haven't necessarily felt that in a while. That just alone just feels good. And I'm even going to the game on Sunday. So although I'm not as much looking forward to the parking and the traveling.
Oh gosh. Yeah, no, that stuff's not going to be good, but this is as good a time to go to FedEx as any if you were to go. I mean, the excitement, the level of excitement around this Dallas game relative to even last year's stuff, because I know we went on that run. It was exciting, but it was still Alex Smith at quarterback. We were still sort of figuring things out. It was a COVID year. There weren't fans in the stands. We got fans in the stands this year. Again, Taylor Heinicke is currently on a journey and mission to become the franchise guy here. We'll see how that all pans out. But for now, things are going great. We're feeling good. And what better opponent to have than the Dallas Cowboys? So we're going to begin with that Dallas Cowboys overview, just a quick rundown on how they've done so far this season. We'll get each other's thoughts on the Cowboys season so far. Then we jump into the injury report, which once again is a bit lengthy, for our Washington Football Team, while Dallas is actually recovering a little bit. We'll get into that. Then we're going to talk about the Washington Football Team defense, the resurgent defense against the Dallas Cowboys offense. And then we flip the script, Washington Football Team offense led by Taylor Heinicke against the Dallas Cowboys defense. And as always, we conclude with our predictions. We may have Kdot guess the line as we typically do as well. So let's begin with the Cowboys overview. They got off to a very, very fast start. They were 5-1 by their bye week, and then they played Minnesota with Cooper Rush at quarterback and beat them on the road. And then after that, they've been so-so. 3-3 since then. Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb were missing a little bit. When those two both play, they're 8-2. When they don't, 0-2. Simple as that. Those two are very, very important parts of their offense. But in their last 3 games in particular, because it's all about who you are right now. A 19-9 loss to Kansas City, a 36-33 loss overtime on Thanksgiving at home against the Las Vegas Raiders, who we just beat. And then they ended up taking advantage of Taysom Hill in his first start of the season at quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, 27-17. Kdot, what do you make of the Cowboys so far overall and then right now?
Yeah, I mean, a few weeks ago, I think when they were coming out of their bye week was week 7 or was week 9? When it was looking bad for us, it was kind of like, all right, well, we know we're going to lose to Dallas because they just looked like they were on fire. At least that offense was clicking, right? And I think what has scared a lot of people is that there are certain storylines you're hearing coming out of Dallas before we get way too involved. There's what's happening on offense as far as Dak Prescott. Remember last year, even before the injury, they were on a tear. I mean, they were 400-something plus yards a game. It was just looking amazing as far as what it is. They were clicking on all cylinders on offense. It looked like they were starting right back from there. Everybody's rooting for Dak, doing the damn thing. On defense, they got Trayvon Diggs, who had that interception streak, which was insane. And then you had the guy at linebacker who I remember on our preview draft show or whatever, the guy that I really wanted was Micah Parsons.
Oh, man.
Has been coming on, and he's been doing his thing. And I think right now the story for Dallas has been that they haven't been at full strength the last few weeks, whether it be COVID shit, injuries, all kinds of stuff. So it's all right. can they turn it on now that they're getting majority of their guys back? Can everything can they flip that switch again and just be running on all cylinders that they were the way they were before their bye week? I think that's the story for Dallas right now. With a lot of the teams in the NFL, week in and week out, you never really know what you got, right? Like, what can you hang your hat on more than anything in the NFL right now? There's not a lot. I mean, Arizona continues to win games, but even when we talk about them, you don't really think about Arizona as being like the best team in football, right? Like, you don't think that. Like, Kyler Murray's doing crazy things. They got the best record, but it doesn't feel that way. Maybe we're overlooking them. I think the Patriots probably the closest thing you're getting to anything that you can hang your hat on right now. And we're still not 100% sure Mac Jones there behind center. So I think right now everybody's just looking for the groove to get into. And I think that if you're looking at any groove of what's been consistent the last few weeks, it's been Washington. That makes me feel good. As far as anything we can hang our hat on, Washington's been good, and we've been doing it the same way the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, just speaking to that, Washington is the hottest team in the NFC right now on that 4-game win streak. San Francisco losing last week not only made it such that we weren't tied with them in our win streak anymore, but we actually moved up to the 6th seed. And I just wanted to quickly say, no matter what happens in this game, at the end of the week, we are still in a playoff spot. So even if we were to lose 100-0, and we're not going to, but we'll talk more about it, we are still at minimum the 7th seed no matter what happens in other games. Therefore, from a standings perspective, this is not a must-win game. Now, from an emotional standpoint, from a momentum standpoint, absolutely it is. And we're going to continue to get into that. The thing about Dallas, right? I'm looking at their schedule. Their signature win probably at New England, week 6 in overtime, heading into their bye week. 35-29, CeeDee Lamb, has the winner. He waves. Like, it's a great moment for Dallas. And this is before, though, New England actually becomes New England, right? Which speaks to your point of, well, when are these guys playing? And who's good right now? And that's why we wanted to emphasize the right now. So Kdot, in their last 3 games, that offense has put up around 18, 19 points. Now, the whole team has put up more because we've had a Tony Pollard touchdown. We've had, on special teams, we've had a pick 6 last week against the New Orleans Saints. But the offense right now still needs to click a little bit. So I do see an avenue of hope there. What do you think about that?
I'd agree with that. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with what's happening on that offense. Like, you bring up Pollard's name, a guy who I think has been done, and maybe this would be a death nail. I shouldn't say this because it jinxes it, is that I think Zeke is pretty much done as far as the most explosive guy in that backfield. Not to mention the idea of what you talk to any Green Bay Packers fan, they'll let you know Mike McCarthy's not that good a head coach. And I think that, like, you even see last week with Dan Quinn getting in there and kind of getting the guys fired up for their win against New Orleans. But even in that game, the dude who's supposed to be the next heir apparent in Kellen Moore, there are stretches in the game where I'm like, what the fuck are you calling? What are you doing? Like, there's large swaths of games where you're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? I don't know if Mike McCarthy coming back makes even more chaos now that they have Mike McCarthy back, this guy back, CeeDee Lamb, what are they going to do? Like, that's the thing. I don't know what you're seeing when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, right? The last few weeks, they have talent on offense. They have a lot of talent on offense. They are, you could arguably say they're the most talented offensive team in the National Football League. Maybe you say Tampa Bay at full strength might be more talented. But, I mean, you got Dak Prescott throwing there for 400 fucking yards a game when he feels like it. Pollard is a very nice change of pace back, especially if Zeke's not the guy. And you got 2 guys on the outside, along with the third guy, Michael Gallup, that should scare anybody. It's just a matter of can they pull it together and string it together for long periods of time. And a lot of decision-making I've seen with the coaching staff has been the biggest reason that they've been kind of held back.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. There always seems to be something with this Cowboys team. Speaking of Tony Pollard, why don't we jump into the injury report right now? Because his name is now a very hot topic. He actually has a torn left plantar fascia muscle, which if you don't know what that is, basically it's your heel. And if it's torn, that hurts like a bitch. So in terms of being the most explosive back, I think you and I are in agreement, okay? Which is that Tony Pollard is, in fact, the most explosive back in that backfield. Is he better than Zeke? That's up to you. I think Zeke is better, but he does look a little slow right now. So Tony Pollard potentially missing the game, he hasn't practiced in the last couple of days, is huge. That is an enormous storyline because it does mean Zeke would need to do more. Even if Tony Pollard plays, he may not be his usual explosive self. So should he even play? is a question that is coming up. So that's what's going on over there. Micah Parsons was actually added to the injury report today. He's limited with a hip injury. And then you've got Noah Brown, who was just placed on IR, wide receiver for them. Zeke practicing in full. The only other name I really want you guys to pay attention to is Randy Gregory, who has 5 sacks on the season. He is coming off of IR, it looks like, and it looks like he is going to play. He's got 5 sacks on the season. Micah Parsons, who is limited today, I imagine he'll play. He has 10 sacks. He's had an unbelievable rookie campaign. That is the Dallas Cowboys side of things. And then for the Washington football team, we're probably going to be missing Wes Schweitzer one more time, though we are optimistic that J.D. McKissic will be back. He's in a limited fashion today. And Landon Collins sounds like he's going to be good to go. He practiced on a limited basis on Thursday, today, at the time of this recording, but he did tell John Keim, ESPN's John Keim, that he is 90% good with that foot. Huge, huge news, Kdot. What are your reactions to those bits of news? And, of course, Logan Thomas, done for the season, unfortunately. I needed to mention that as well with Montez Sweat. He was supposed to come back, now out with COVID.
Yeah, that's unfortunate as far as the Logan Thomas bit, even though John Bates has come on, but we'll get into that on the offensive side. As far as these injuries go, Randy Gregory coming back is not something I'm looking forward to at all. Pollard being out is a huge boon to this Washington defense. We've been doing a phenomenal job keeping running backs at bay this season as a whole. But what I am afraid of is if you have a 1-2 punch like Dallas can, it's kind of hard to get your bearings as far as what's happening in the backfield. And I think with Zeke and Pollard and their running styles being so different, what might be working for one might not work for the other. So that's something that if we don't have Pollard, that to me makes it this defense can be a lot more traditional what we do when it comes to run defense. And I feel a lot better about that situation. But Randy Gregory, there's not to overlook him. You can't overlook that guy. Randy Gregory and Micah Parsons running after the quarterback is a big deal, period. And you could see it even in the last game against the Raiders with Max Crosby and some of the guys they got there on that defensive line. They can cause havoc. I mean, the hope is that you get a few flags or they get a little too overzealous. Maybe it gets in our favor. But that's not something I'm necessarily looking forward to as far as the Dallas guys that are coming back. For Washington, Landon Collins has been an absolute stud at the linebacker position.
Absolutely.
He's come on. I understood the criticisms there at safety. If you didn't criticize him, I don't know what the fuck you were looking at. But as he's been transitioning into linebacker, I think he's only been getting better, which was it hurt so much to see that he was hurt last week. And when he got hurt 2 weeks ago, was like, damn. Because even in that game, he was looking lights out, right? Like, it was like, holy shit, he's got his speed back. Like, he's running around off the edge. Like, and you need that speed when you don't have a Chase Young, you don't have a Montez Sweat, and Montez Sweat missing potentially even more time because of his fucking COVID status, which I go on a rant about, but whatever. Having Landon back is a big deal as far as that defense. I am very proud of what we were able to do without him, but we only are better when he's in. J.D. McKissic in the backfield. Wendell Smallwood, I think, had like 1 carry last week. I don't even know what his stat was.
2 catches, 1 carry, 2 catches. Yep.
Right. J.D. McKissic getting back in the fold as far as in that game, to me, is huge for us. He's been probably the most consistent thing on the offense for us week in and week out. Having him back gives us a lot more flexibility, especially when you have a Curtis Samuel, the way that we saw him being used last week, coming back and getting healthier as well. You have 2 of those guys there, only helps.
Yeah, totally agree. And on the subject of J.D. McKissic, for us to have our change of pace back, probably returning, right? Whereas Tony Pollard, again, with the torn left plantar fascia muscle, that changes things because now Dallas is potentially losing. I think they are losing that change of pace that they would be getting from Tony Pollard. He's much quicker. He's much more explosive than Zeke has been this season anyway. So that helps us greatly on defense because we are missing Montez Sweat. I could also go on a rant about it, given that he's unvaccinated, stuff like that. I do hope he is okay because he does have an underlying health condition. Even more confusing as to why he wouldn't, but it is what it is. So hope he does recover smoothly. And he does have an outside shot of playing against the Philadelphia Eagles, okay, next week. So we'll get into all that next week. One other thing I wanted to note, Ricky Seals-Jones is probably going to be back. He is in a limited capacity as well. So it'll be great to have him. That should greatly soften the blow because when he was playing and Logan Thomas was out, he did do very well, and he did see a number of targets. So I'm looking forward to seeing Ricky Seals-Jones back as well. It sounds like we're already beginning to break the game down. So why don't we just get into it? The Washington football team defense against this Dallas Cowboys offense. Kdot, why don't you just kick us off? What are some of your keys over here? What are you looking to see on Sunday?
Yeah, a lot of the same things that we've been doing the last few weeks, you have to do again, right? So, like, a big concern that we had last week was Deshaun Jackson beating us over the top as far as things went. Now, there were a couple times that Deshaun absolutely was open, and Derek Carr just didn't get the ball there to him. That is a combination of pass rush on Derek Carr that made him not feel as though he had enough time in the pocket. He was feeling it. He was feeling the footstep. He could feel it around him, so he wasn't doing what he needed to do to really go through the progression to make those throws. So we just got to keep doing what we've been doing, which is playing solid defense on the back end and doing what we can do to get that pressure up front with those guys and just stopping the run. Which, I mean, yeah, once again, another week where I sound like fucking Booger McFarland, but it's kind of breaking it back down to basics, right? Run the ball, stout defense, run the ball, stout defense. Now, I will also say this Dallas Cowboy receiving core is light years ahead of whatever it is we just faced when it comes to the Raiders. Like, Deshaun Jackson, as much as he might beat you over the top, is 52 years old. Just been in the league fucking ever. You got CeeDee Lamb, that tiny little motherfucker, just running lights out all over the goddamn field. Even though I was looking at some of his stats as far as like his catch percentage based on targets is not that great, which I think that helps. But like, the way the defensive secondary has been working as far as having, I said it last week, putting Danny Johnson back there on the inside, having Kendall Fuller and William Jackson there on the outside has been great. Bobby McCain has been coming on, doing better. You got the combination of Cam Curl, DeShazier Everett, all those guys running around as far as the safety unit. That's great. Having Landon Collins there only helps us as far as getting rid of stuff that can happen up front. When they like to do as far as getting Pollard, if he plays the ball as far as on these screens, if you got somebody like Landon Collins to kind of eliminate that and eliminate the run, make them one-dimensional. And if we can make them one-dimensional and start bringing that pressure, where you get Landon Collins coming off the edge, where you could drop Cam Curl down and bring in a blitz there from one of the defensive backs. That's what we need to do, is get in Dak Prescott's face and make shit happen. We're doing a much better job on third down. We just got to keep it up. But it's the big thing, don't get beat up top. You can't get beat up top, because CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper will make you fucking pay. And as many years as I've been watching Washington, there's one thing that I am still annoyed with, but the Cowboys don't do this as much. But what we saw last week with Hunter Renfrow was a lot of those 10-yard throws where we play so fucking far off the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
It's so aggravating to watch. I don't see a lot of what I see with the Cowboys. They don't run a lot of those routes. They run a lot of just go, which makes me feel it's going to be a feast or famine kind of game. It's either they're going to be able to make it work or they're not. And I think that's what we got to do, is start out early, get a lot of pressure, start hitting Dak, eliminate Zeke out of the fucking game, make them one-dimensional so we can pin our ears back, go after these boys, and just play what we need to on the back end.
So I just want to point out a couple of the most amazing stats that I saw while doing research for this game, because I simply couldn't believe it. So the Washington football team on defense, third down percentage is at 50%. Okay, so we were on the season, we're allowing 50%. You know what we're allowing in our last 3 games? Take a guess.
Stupid. 60 something? 60?
No. Just the other way around, my friend. The other way around. We were allowing 28%.
Oh, allowing. Right. Yeah.
Allowing.
Okay, gotcha.
On third down, we are allowing 28%. You know what that would be good for if that were our season average? First in the NFL. They are playing at an unbelievable level on third down. So getting off the field being a key, yes, it is, but we're doing it as of right now. And yes, we are going against these Dallas wide receivers that are next level compared to what we have seen so far. I think the closest comparison would probably be Tampa Bay, right? When they had Godwin, they had Evans, and we still managed to do our thing against them. So that is absolutely key. The craziest stat is the Dallas Cowboys on third down are converting 24% in their last 3 games. That would easily be a league worst. So the stars are sort of aligning in that respect. And the danger of a rivalry game is sometimes you just throw the stats out the window, right? So like you could see Dallas is suffering on third down and that we are thriving on third down defensively. And that could mean nothing. That could mean absolutely nothing. That being said, I do believe it means something. I do believe in the momentum that is going on right now. So I would say stop the run. It's going to be huge to have Landon Collins back. And because this Tony Pollard injury, I cannot overstate its importance enough. This really changes things, because if Zeke is not having a good game, who do they turn to? We don't know yet. We're going to see who they end up turning to, but this could result in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9. And then all of a sudden you can bring some pressure, see how Dak does, and force a bad throw to probably CeeDee Lamb, who's been playing a lot of slot when both Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup are on the field. And that's when he's been his most dangerous this season. Hasn't happened often because Michael Gallup has been out, but the game against Atlanta, for example, CD got to play in the slot the whole time, had 90 yards and 2 touchdowns in like 2.5 quarters of play. So I would say get him into 3rd and long, which I think we will do. And then shut down CD. I don't want to say force Amari. Force Gallup to make a play on him. Okay. I would say if you can help shadow Amari, it's always easier said than done. And CD and make Gallup win 1-on-1. I would go for that. I would go for that 10 times out of 10. So those are my keys. Would you agree with that? Would you disagree with that? What are your thoughts there?
No, I agree with that. But I think the thing that brings up something I was speaking about earlier was a lot of what it is that Dallas finds himself on 3rd down is a lot because of play calling. They move away from the run early in their play, early in 1st and 2nd down. 1st and 2nd down, they want to do play action off the bat. And it's like you haven't really got anybody to buy into it, which is why I don't understand the Kellen Moore and why everybody's fucking obsessed with it. It's the same thing I kind of criticize Scott Turner for about once a game, is that usually it's somewhere around the 3rd quarter where we have a series and it's just like, why do you throw it on 1st and 2nd down? Like, we're running the ball. Just run the fucking ball. Like, right. But Kellen Moore does it a lot more often. And Mike McCarthy is a guy that's not going to tell Kellen Moore not to do that, because it's the same thing that Mike McCarthy would do when he was in fucking Green Bay, right? Is that there's not a lot of complimentary football that's happening for those guys. I feel like if we had those guys and the talent that they have on offense, there's a clear way in which you can play offense and do it successfully. It feels like Dallas doesn't even get out of their own way sometimes when it comes to that.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So I think in that case we're on the same page. And I think you're right. The play calling, I don't mind the 1st and 10 play action just from an objective perspective. I'm not talking about Dallas here, just an objective 1st and 10 call being play action. I think that's fine. Dallas moves the ball a lot through the air. 69%, again, in their last 3 games have been pass plays. They do get away from that run, which does us, I think, actually a bit of a disservice, because I normally like going against the run because we're so good against it. And it almost helps our defense get into those 3rd and longs. If they do a bunch of quick short passes, I get worried against teams like that. So we'll see how Dallas comes out. Let's flip the script. Let's talk about –
One more thing on defense is that a guy who needs to play better than he did play last week, and I think he did play better as the week went on for us on defense, was Jamin Davis. Yes. We need to be more sure in our tackles, especially him. What was very good to see is that he was almost always in the right position, except for 1 or 2 passes where I was like, all right, he was playing a little closer to the line than he needed to be, where he needs to drop back in coverage. But we've been getting guys there, and I think that something that they always stress and they show on the TV networks is how much we swarm to the ball. Feels like Greg Williams' ball, where all the time you had a bunch of guys swarming around the ball. We need to be more sure in our tackles, especially against these guys like Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. You need to tackle them in space. We have to be able to do that.
Yeah, can't be missing tackles. Definitely not this Sunday. Now let's flip the script, talk about the Washington football team offense against the Dallas Cowboys defense. Kdot, to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, I see a very exploitable matchup over here. I don't think the Dallas defense is that good. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, though.
No, they're not. I mean, that's the thing is, like, right now they've got some flashy guys. I'm not taking anything away from Mike Parsons. Dude's a stud. He can play basically any position in the front 7 and looks like amazing when he's doing it. Not taking anything away from that. But like, you even look at like a guy like Trayvon Diggs, who his interception numbers are incredible, and he does play. He does make some plays in the defensive backfield, but he also gives up a fucking lot because he plays so aggressively. That's the one thing that does kind of scare me when it comes to Taylor Heinicke, is that Diggs, being as aggressive as he is, can disguise a lot of shit to then make a play on the ball. So you might see something's open, even though you can look at stuff pre-snap and be like, all right, I'm not throwing over there because I know what it is they're doing. Then Diggs looks like he's trailing off. And it's like, all right, maybe I can make this throw. And he catapults there at the ball, trust what it is you're seeing pre-snap when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, especially against Diggs. But I think the biggest thing, we're not talking about necessarily through the air, is what it is we can do on the ground game. And we can run the ball on this team. It is a doable thing against this team. I was trying to pull up what it is they've looked at as far as rushing and what it is they've given up. The Dallas Cowboys, since the bye week, 101, 190, 103, 126, 143, 153. We can run on these guys. The thing that I've been talking about all year long on this pod when it comes to our main guy, Antonio Gibson, who is now leading the NFC in rushing yards, surprising even to me when I saw the shit pop up on the screen. He's running like a 225-pound fucking running back now, protecting the football and running guys over. It's like they finally said, I can run these dudes over? Is that something I'm allowed to do? Yes! You're fucking huge, dude! Run them over! You're like the fucking side of Marshawn Lynch and you're playing like you're fucking DeAndre Carter. No need. Run through them. And that's where I'm seeing it. You can see he's kind of having fun with it. You see the look on his face. He's got like this smirk on him like, I didn't know I could do this. I can do this, and I am doing this. And you see last week and the week before, especially with the injury to J.D. McKissic, he is flourished in the role of being the guy. Because we didn't go to Smallwood that much. We did not go to Jared Patterson that much. It was the Antonio Gibson show on offense. And we still need to maintain that. Because he, unlike a lot of the power backs, you need to give him 30 carries in order for them to start eating. The dude is still gashing you. He's doing consistent. We've fallen in love with the 4.5-yard run, the 3-yard run, the 4-yard run, and realizing that's not a defeat because you know as long as you keep with it, he's going to break an 8-yarder. He'll break a 15-yarder. Just stick with it. And if you have J.D. McKissic there in the backfield to spell him sometimes, it only makes him more fresh. He's not the guy like a Jerome Bettis and he's 40 carries downfield in order to make anything happen. You can give him the spell. He's that quick. He's fast than Antonio Gibson. If you got J.D. McKissic there that can split those carries, I feel really good about what this offense could do. We are a run-first team. Scott Turner, keep that fucking mantra, baby. Do not be your father, Norville Turner, and get fucking in love with the run or in love with the pass when we don't need to do that. You have Taylor Heineke taking care of the football properly. He's taking the shots when he needs to take the shots because his balls are the size of Jupiter. And it's just he's doing what he needs to do, but he's taking care of the football. But what matters more than anything for that is controlling the time possession and running the damn ball. That's been the recipe for success since we've been on this win streak. It's what Bill Belichick did in that goddamn Buffalo game better than any time I've ever seen it. We have to keep this. It is the identity of this team. Run first. Our offensive line likes punching people in the fucking mouth. Let's run the ball down the field. That should be the game plan. Run.
And then once you do run, which we will do, and when you see Antonio Gibson, how often does he fall backwards on a hit or just stand still? He's falling forward. He's finishing a 1-yard run that turns to 3, a 2 that turns to 4. Then, as you said, as the game goes on, it's becoming 6, 7, 8. I mean, we can keep featuring him, and he's in a rhythm right now, like you said. But once you do that run, guess what? You have 2 exposable corners, and I don't care what you say about Trayvon Diggs. Congratulations. You got a number of interceptions. Happy for you. But you allow the most yards through the air than any other corner in the league. You have allowed the most yards straight up more than any other in the league. And Anthony Brown, your boy on the other side, 4th most. So you can get after these guys. Terry McLaurin has already shown he has no problem against Trayvon Diggs. Now it's Trayvon Diggs' second year. Who knows? But the people I'm truly scared of, Micah Parsons is already their best defensive player. To me, I don't even think it's a question. We'll see what Randy Gregory does, but he's the guy that scares me the most. So how do you defeat that? You run. You run a lot. Micah can do it all, but he's going to get tired, and that's going to slow a pass rush down, allowing Taylor on 3rd and short to even take a few shots, dare I say. I know we talk about chewing up the clock, and we want to do that. Dallas runs the 2nd most plays on offense. So if you chew up the clock when we have it, guess what? They can't run those plays. There's not enough time for them to do that. You take away their own identity from them, which is running a lot of plays. I'm not saying running the ball. I'm saying running a lot of plays. They find ways to get a lot of first downs. They find ways to I guess, get exposed on defense so that they quickly get the ball back. But it is a very, very exploitable defense. So I am in total agreement with you, Kdot. Run the damn ball, and it will open up. And Taylor, I promise you, Taylor Heineke, you are going to get a number of chances to expose this defense. If Taysom Hill were half good at quarterback, New Orleans wins that game. He missed so many wide open receivers, threw it back. They would have to go get it. He actually threw it back to Anthony Brown about 3 times in that game, where Anthony Brown was totally beat. And he was like, oh, thank God I've got an opportunity at this ball now. So Taylor's been on a heater, and I feel really good about running, and then letting Taylor do the rest. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And I think that the thing that we, as I said about CeeDee Lamb, as far as his catch percentage based on contested catches, which is not that great, Terry McLaurin is a fucking stud that way. So if you have a Trayvon Diggs who's trying to play so aggressively, even if he's there in the conversation, you have a guy like Terry McLaurin that can adjust on that ball in the air with either the bat down a Trayvon Diggs pick or just to take it to the fucking house, which I think is a possibility, which is why when we get into predictions, I actually got a higher score this game than I have in the last few games.
Interesting.
I just think that this is going to be a game in which, like, this is just going to be fun. While I am excited and nervous to go to this game, I just think that this is a statement game for us. Like, this is one of these games where right now we're on that winning streak, and I don't think anybody's necessarily overlooking us, right? But something did happen today which lit a fire under my fucking ass, which Mike McCarthy's out here guaranteeing fucking wins, right? So, yeah, baby, we're back. This is Tom Landry fucking George Allen type shit. We're fucking back. You didn't have to do this bulletin board material. And when they asked John Allen, what do you think about the guarantee? Only thing guaranteed is death of taxes. We got that ass. John Allen, these guys, the last thing you need to do is fire up this fucking defense. I think that this is this game that we can make a statement. Run the ball down their fucking throats, throw it over the top to Terry, have Taylor get some of those goddamn runs for first downs. I need this game where we are balling out on all fucking cylinders so that Mike McCarthy has to call fucking Jerry Jones on Monday like fucking Bradley Cooper in The Hangover. We fucked up. I just need that to fucking happen.
Nothing makes me laugh more than when a finesse team guarantees a victory over a smash mouth team. It just doesn't work. Anyway, so we'll see. But since you're already fired up about it, why don't we get into the predictions now? Kdot, do you want to guess the line, or do you want me to just straight up tell you what the line is?
Just tell me. I have no idea what the league is looking at this.
Okay. Well, so according to Bovada, the Washington football team, 4.5-point underdogs against the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, again, we're at home, 1 p.m. on Fox, and the over-under is set at 48. So, as always, I need a score and winner, please. The floor is yours.
Taking the over. I got this being a fairly high-scoring game just because I don't think Dallas's defense is that good. Let's go. Still thinking now. 4.5 points is what Dallas's favorite.
That's correct.
So I'm going to say 30-27, another game-winning field goal to knock this game out. I just think this is one of these games where maybe it starts off a little sluggish. Maybe it starts off everybody's trying to get their bearings down. But by the end of it, we're fucking firing the ball. And I think Dallas, as much as that 27 points makes it seem like Washington's not having a great day on defense, but I think that if you contain these guys enough, there is going to be a certain point in time, CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper are going to beat you. You just can't let them do it all day.
Okay, so 30-27, Washington. I actually think that's a pretty solid prediction. We've talked about this. I'm a very superstitious individual. And the last 3 games, I picked the Tampa Bay game. The last 3, I've all picked the other team. I've picked Seattle. I have picked I guess we didn't even do that show, but I more or less picked Seattle. Picked Carolina. Picked Las Vegas. So I want to pick Dallas just because I'm nervous if I pick Washington, we could lose this game. But I'm picking Washington because whenever I see these metrics and I see the momentum we're riding, I think this is the time. I think this is the perfect time to play against Dallas. I think if we were to play him a week ago, it was too soon. I really do think that having Landon Collins back, J.D. McKissick back. Ricky Seals-Jones is huge, again, because Logan Thomas is now out for the year. This is a perfect time. And I do think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be something like 24-23, where I think we're going to get enough stops in the red zone and we're going to end up winning. I don't know if it's going to be another Brian Johnson game winner. Shout out Brian Johnson. What a kick. What a kick. I was between wow and what a kick. Wow. It was incredible.
90% of the team didn't know his name. It's great.
Yeah. John, I was like, I don't know who that is, but he's 9 for 9 on field goals in his career now. I don't know what it is. It's amazing how a kicker can make a couple field goals and then, it was promised to the next guy, so you have to go sit on the couch again. But he's 100% on his field goals. It's crazy. So curious to see what happens when Joey Sly is healthy again, because it's not Joey Sly's fault either. He's been great for us. So very curious to see what the coaching staff does there, but I'm saying 24-23, so that's just south of the over-under total. Kdot's gone over, but we both have Washington winning. Any final thoughts, Kdot, on this matchup that we haven't already touched on?
This is going to be an interesting game. I mean, I am a firm believer in momentum. I especially when it comes to sports. I think that once you feel as though you're on a run, you're on a run. Whether it be basketball, when you got the hot hand, you got the hot hand. That team that kind of goes in the run, and it just – can someone else's momentum stop yours at that point, right? The way that I'm looking at this season kind of going on, I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm kind of spoil it. We talked about in the other show, how many of these games, these final 5, do we think we can win? The last 5 that we think we can win. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that we win 5. I just don't think we're that solid of a football team all around to say that we're going to sweep the rest of the season. Right. But I think this momentum, especially coming off the Cowboys, Mike McCarthy was out. They got Dan Quinn. I still think Mike McCarthy probably has a little something against Dan Quinn, which is why he was feeling the little pressure behind it, which is probably why he made the fucking guarantee today. I look at that team and I say that they've got more problems than they're showing on the field necessarily with everything that's going on with them. I don't feel as though they're riding on any high. That win last week against the Saints is not something you can really hang your hat on. They're coming off the 2 losses before that. The Saints went against a Taysom fucking Hill, who injured Taysom Hill. It's right. Not anything. We've won 4 games in which a lot of people called us out of. This is momentum. Now, whether or not we have that the following week with Gardner Minshew's in Philadelphia is a different story, because I think that's a momentum guy as well. We'll see what happens to them too. But it's just I really do believe in momentum, and I think this team is rolling and they're feeling good about themselves. And the fact that we were able to beat Vegas last week in their home stadium with the injuries that we had to so many key guys is just something that I'm feeling really, really good about. And I'm excited to go to this game. It does bug me that I did tell you, and I promise you on this pod, I'm not buying any more Washington stuff, right? So I didn't buy tickets to this game. Because I didn't buy tickets to this game, I'm going with a bunch of Cowboys fans, so pray for me.
Hey, let's get prayers for Kdot trending. # prayers for Kdot this Sunday. But yeah, I just realized that's a good point. Mike McCarthy 0-2 in his last 2 games coached was Dan Quinn that ended up getting the dub against New Orleans. And they look terrible against New Orleans too. I'm scared at how good I feel. I told you this pre-prod, but I am scared at how good I feel right now. And knowing this rivalry, of course, anything can happen. But Kdot and I are feeling good. And that's going to wrap it up here. This is the Washington Football Team Preview Show brought to you by District Divided. I am Amit. That is Kdot. We are with you every Friday around 2 p.m. So looking forward to seeing you guys next week, hopefully celebrating a victory Monday again, this time over the Dallas Cowboys. Take it easy and see you on the other side of this.
Dan Snyder, sell the goddamn team. Just because I'm going on the game doesn't mean I support your bitch ass. Fuck you.
Sell the team, bud.